Hi, Stitchy friends. Welcome. Welcome into episode Floss Tube number 11 for Stitching Bunny. I'm glad to have you with me today. And as I promised, it's actually a 2-week interval, which is amazing for me. Today is September 17th, Sunday, beautiful Sunday here in South Central Wisconsin. We have beautiful blue sky and fluffy clouds, and our color change is starting to show. It's actually cool, nice breeze, just a beautiful day. We are experiencing, I guess you'd say, kind of early autumn. Autumn doesn't start for another week or so yet. And we had really high temperatures a week or so ago. We were in the high 90s, which was unusual for us in the middle of the summer. But things have calmed down a bit, and I think everybody has that fall attitude. The pumpkins are out, and we've seen Halloween decorations up already. So I think all of us Wisconsinites that actually look forward to the seasonal changes here, which is why we live in the Midwest, and we love our fall and winter seasons here. Everybody's anxious to see that happen. So if you have been with me before, you're a returning viewer, you could probably notice that we're in a little different venue today. I've moved downstairs to my quilting studio to see if this is easier on both ends, easier for you to view and for me to present, since I have my sewing machine table down here. The sewing machine is just on the other side or just behind the camera. And my sewing table has a big leaf that opens up beyond my machine to, hold your quilts while you're doing your quilting on your machine. So it's a nice big, almost a full-size table. That's the same height as my, same height as my sewing machine side. So I can use my comfortable sewing chair, and I have a table in front of me for a change, instead of having to put things on the floor and keep bending over and getting them and, dropping things. And so hopefully that will work out better. It won't be as making you queasy, with me moving around so much. And I know already, I can tell, at least having my things out and in front of me, I'm hoping that, I don't forget things. And although I did make a list just to make sure. So any feedback from you would be greatly appreciated. I do have 3 big windows behind the camera that, as it's a sunny day, so I'm not sure how that's going to affect the video. And there's also 2 big windows off to my right here on the side of the house, so that's not as bright. But if we have real issues with glare or with, the colors or things not being able to be seen, and I assume, it appears differently than the way I'm looking at it through the camera here, I'd appreciate it if you let me know or have any feedback or something maybe I could do to make it better. I'm thinking of, maybe needing more lighting if I don't, as, our seasons progress, we're going to have less and less daytime light. And I'm not sure, that it's always going to be a middle of the day recording like this one is. So we might need some extra lighting. This room itself doesn't have any overhead ceiling lighting. There's just one little small wall sconce on the one wall here. That's the only actual light down here other than all of my sewing lights. So, but those are extremely bright and harsh. So I'm hoping I don't have to use those. And if anything, maybe I've seen a lot of the floss tubers using the ring lights. Maybe I could investigate that and see if that's something that might help. But, we'll take it from here. I'd like to keep doing the videos down here, even though I missed my stitching room. But this does seem to be a little bit more convenient. And I did finally, this past week and a half, get the quilting room set up to where it should be, where there's not boxes stuffed in here that we're supposed to be going down to the basement, or we're supposed to be going upstairs, or just unpacking bags and big black garbage bags full of fabrics that we dragged down to the basement and spent a couple of days, my husband and I, working on clearing that up. So needless to say, my room is set up so nicely now. I can move around in here. I can function. I have my cutting table off to my right. I have a nice big flat screen TV down here that my husband gave me that we had in our bedroom at the old house, and we never used it. I used it at Christmas time to sit and watch Christmas movies all night when I couldn't sleep. But other than that, we just never used it in there. It was really kind of a waste. So he volunteered to let me take it down here into my quilt studio. So when I'm spending hours down here, at least I have my big screen TV. That's off to my left. And I've got my bear cabinets filled with my collectible bears. And there's my cutting table and my big spool cabinet and all. Nothing on the walls yet, but we're working on finding spots for what will be the red sampler wall and also the Christmas sampler wall. So we still have a lot of decorating to do, but at least the main setting of furniture and clearing out of boxes is done. My husband's been working in the garage, clearing that out so we can get both cars in there instead of packing crates, but all in due time. It's only been 2 months and we're old, so we have to take this slowly. We do have a lot to get to today. I'm kind of glad that the 2 weeks flies by. It really does. But I have accumulated quite a bit of haul during that 2 weeks. And we are adding back in one of our features that we dropped while we were moving and until we got unpacked here, my off the wall. I still don't have anything on the walls, but I did pull out a piece instead of letting Rob pick one today. I pulled out a piece mainly because it's something that I don't think you'd expect me to have done. Sampler girl. This is kind of an unusual thing for me. So I wanted to show you that, and it's small. I don't, since everything is pretty much in the basement or up 2 stories. It's a tri-level house, so they're like half stories, but still, it's stairs, twice up. That I didn't want to carry down any big pieces. So maybe we'll start off with that, and then we'll just take it by what's around me and take it from there. So this is our off the wall today. This was done in 1997 by me, and this is on 40 count silk gauze done in silk fibers. I'm not quite sure. This was done in 97, so this has been quite a while ago. So I know it was silk floss, but I'm not sure what brand of silk. I'd almost want to say it's since it's on 40 count gauze, it's not really crowded, but you don't see, in the gauze coming through either. It is a total full coverage piece. And it's just kind of hard to say. It's a very pretty silk, whatever it is. It's not a stranded, it almost looks more of a, like a twisted silk, but that's hard to imagine on something so tiny. Anyway, don't know what it was stitched in. Don't remember who this was by, but it was done on 40 count gauze. And I did have this one framed because I had no idea how to handle, I'm having difficulties framing any of my pieces that are linen, let alone know what to do with silk gauze. So I did take this to the framers and had it framed. And you can tell it's from 97 because of all the mats. It's kind of, but I guess it did have to be matted to a point so that it was big enough to hold on to or to hang and people be able to see it. So that's my silk gauze piece. That's an old-time finish off the wall. Let's see, maybe we should, since we're talking about finishes, maybe I should show you that I actually have one FFO that I did this week. And this is a piece I just recently finished stitching. It's not an old piece, even though I have boxes that I'd like to finish, boxes of finished or of smalls that were stitched but not FFO'd. I did decide to do this one because I wanted this out. I made this for our new house. And usually my pieces that I have, or even my samplers, I shouldn't say just the smalls, but even my samplers, if it's not a true reproduction that I want to be, spot on a reproduction, if it's something where I can add to it without destroying the design, I usually will put my doggies at the time in the pieces I'm stitching. So this one, because it was started since we moved here and it was made for the house, it does still have my two doggies. We lost our little Maddie a couple of weeks ago, my little 14-year-old black lab, who was my little love. She was the one that had the little white muzzle and pure black lab, but she had that white frosted muzzle, so we always called her Sugar Lips. So she is in here. She got her rightful place, even though she's no longer with us. So this is my piece. I believe that, I should have looked again to I believe this is a Jeanette Douglas. I could be wrong about that. And if I ever figure out how I can put some comments in the drop-down box on the videos, I would like to add that information. If one of you seasoned floss tubers, or even not a seasoned floss tuber, but somebody who knows more than I do on these recordings, if you can maybe give me a quick hint on how to add, I don't know if there has to be like a video editing app I have to go through to get those notes in there, or if that's just something I can do before I post it to YouTube, or I don't know. I'm just lost. Any little quick hint, don't go into tremendous, explanation for me. I don't want you to do that. I can sit down and look it up and read her. But just if there's something quick and I can do things like this, just add little comments in there of things that I've forgot to mention. But it's done on a real pale yellow linen 40 count. And there's my little black labby Maddie, and behind her is our one little remaining baby, our 4-year-old. She's a little yellow lab mix, and she's from Texas. So her name is Rose. We call her Rosie. And it says there's no place like home. And this, I just put a little bow, and I'm not really too much of a frilly stitcher or finisher. And I like doing these that are a little bit more tailored. But this little set of beads that are on this little teardrop pin came on something from a lady that I purchased an Etsy item from. And that she included that on thank you tag. And I loved it. I wasn't going to get rid of it. So it's perfect. The colors match. The little beads match perfectly of what's on here. And then on the back, it's the same fabric, and I just put my little 2023 charm on here because we had to mark the moving into the new house. This is a big deal for us after 20 years in the old one. I'm very pleased with how this turned out stuffing-wise. I did use the SF101 interfacing to interface the back of the stitched piece. I didn't use it. I've heard now that people are using it too on the backing, and that sounds like that'd be a great idea too, because it's usually, I make a pillowcase, with this seamed open here, and then I hand tack it so that it doesn't have, any of that gathering or buckling on the bottom. It seems like they turn out squarer this way, so that's the method I always use. And I stuff this, first of all, I stuff the corners with just the polyfill, and then and kind of the sides a little bit too with the poly, and leaving a hole in the middle. And that's also what's nice, because I can lay it flat and fill it, and I filled it with the walnut shells, or as I refer to it, lizard litter, because that's what I bought from the pet store. They say that that's what it is the crushed walnut shells, but they sell it as lizard litter, which isn't easy to say. So anyway, then I laid it flat and filled it all in as much as I could with the lizard litter, and I put some poly over the opening so I could hand stitch it and not have those little pieces of broken shell coming out. And it lays, it's very, other than my fabric being folded, it's very sturdy. It sits up very nicely. I have it up against one of my spool boxes up in my stitching room, and it means a lot because it's got my babies. And actually, the pillars in front of our house are this color. So it's and that this exactly called for threads and all on the piece. So that's my FFO. You guys keep telling me that I can do it, and I've done it. So I'm on a roll, which brings me to the next item that I want to ask opinions on, my fellow stitchers. This is a kit that was Brenda Gervais, and this is a number of years back, I believe. Um, I I don't know if I don't even know if I still have the graph or the chart or not, but I didn't really want to waste time going through all the Brenda Gervais charts I have to see if I still had it or if I gotten rid of it because I stitched it. Anyway, it was a kit. It came with a little table, and it's a little squirrel for autumn with the acorns are satin stitched, and he's just got the little vine around him, done in the called for over dyed cottons, sitting in his little urn. So that's him, and he's supposed to be mounted on this little wood table that came with it. And couple of things. I've got, the little thing all mounted, ready to put on the table, but I want to finish the table in some way. I don't necessarily want to paint it. All of our wood furniture in our house is natural wood, barn wood mainly. From being up here in Wisconsin, we have a lot of beautiful barnwood furniture, and I love the look of natural wood. And this is like a little plywood or whatever, but it is a wood. It does have a little bit of grain in it here and there. And what I'm wondering is if I get some type of wood stain, if that would work on this. My late husband was a woodworker, made several beautiful things for me. He refinished a hope chest that was a generation back in his family that he gave me when we got married. And just beautiful, beautiful things. He loved woodworking, and I never really paid a lot of attention to what he was doing when he was working on these things, because mainly he didn't want me to see them until they were finished. So I'm not up on, the stains and all. I know he had a lot of that stuff. So I'm not even sure what to look for in the way of a stain if something would. I'm not really too interested in, obviously I don't have to have the wood grain show because this is going to be covered on the top anyway. I want it just more or less to look like a wooden table rather than a little painted table. So that's what I'm going for. And my main question is, what do I look for in the way of stain? Is there like I'm almost sure he had something that was almost like a wax that he just rubbed on with a soft cloth, and then he'd put the wood, I don't know if you'd consider it shellac or varnish, whatever finish, the shiny finish on top of it. That's what I'd like to do. But I have no idea, obviously my late husband's been gone for over 30 years, so we don't have any of those things that he used to use for me to even kind of play around with. So I'm going to have to buy something, and I would rather buy something that is going to work rather than something I'm going to, it's trial and error, because I think once I put the stain on this, it's going to be on it. I'm not going to be able to make changes in the color or anything. I think the only thing I'd be able to do then is if it doesn't work to paint it. I'm not sure I'd, be able to find another one since it was with the kit. So anyway, if somebody has any suggestions, a type of wax, I'd like to just stain a little bit darker than what it is, and what I would use to, if there's something I have to do to prepare this, to stain it, or if you just rub the stain on and then, whatever, please, any information you have, any suggestions you have, if you've done it, if you have somebody in the family that's a woodworker that you can pick their brains, I'd appreciate it. So anyway, at that point then, this little guy's going to be mounted on there. I'm going to find something probably, I don't want it to look like a tablecloth kind of thing, because I don't think anything will drape over it and stay that way. So I'm going to just, kind of maybe fill in the edge here, depending on how the wood turns out, how the little underneath turns out. But, I'm considering the possibilities. And then I want it to show. So I'm thinking of how I would display it. I think what I've seen and what I would most likely wind up doing is getting one of those dome pieces, that has the flat base, round base, that I could set this on, and then the dome would be over it, and I could put some little greenery or little fall leaves, little tiny silk leaves or something underneath for the fall. And that way, when you look at it in a display case, and I have many display cases all over the house, when you look down, you'd be looking at the top of the piece rather than, something sitting on a shelf, and this is really what you're going to see, and not really pay too much attention to, the stitching on the top. And that's what's so cute, is a squirrel. So that's my plan right now. If you guys think of something better, or if you've done this, if you've seen somebody that's done this, I haven't really looked on Brenda's website. I don't know if she, I said, I'm not sure how old the piece is. If she has a picture of it, maybe she has suggestions. Maybe I should look for the chart that would have told me, what to do with this. But I trust you guys implicitly. So if you can help me out, I'd appreciate it. Just, put something in comments or whatever. But again, I'd appreciate any help there. So now I think we have to move on to whips. I only have 2 whips. I have a current whip that is, of course, Sampler September. I started a sampler on September 1st. That is by Northumberland Sampler House. And this is one of her pieces. I'm trying to think of what her first name is. Let me see if it's on her card. I did see it at one time, and now it has slipped my mind. I want to say like Erica. Could be. I don't see it on here, but first of all, while I had it in my hand, let me show you her card. It's a Northumberland Sampler House, and she is on Etsy as North Sampler House, but on Facebook and YouTube, I believe, is Northumberland Sampler House. So let me show you that site too, so you can take a snapshot of that in if you want her information. This is the chart. This is, let's see if I can get that little bit of glare off of there. Elizabeth Lincoln, 1815, and this is a reproduction. She's calling this a sampler, is a Christmas sampler. It was a Christmas start. So everything on the packaging that she had with this is all Christmas. It was so neat. She even had a sticker on the back that said, do not open until September 1st, because that was going to be the start of our stitch along. And I did not open it until September 1st. I broke the label that day to get my chart out and started on that day. And the reason that this is being considered a Christmas sampler, colors kind of, I think, and I myself think that a lot of the one band there above the reindeer, that's the flowers, kind of looks like poinsettias to me. But the main reason that she said that this is a Christmas sampler is because both of the reindeers have red noses. So it's a Christmas sampler in my book. So this is beautiful colors, and you can see that it does pick up a lot of the Christmas greens and pinks and reds, and it's just lovely to stitch on. It's being done in just DMC. I shouldn't say that. Not just DMC. It's being done in DMC, which I love. And let me move this over so I can show you what I've done. I did have this out 2 weeks ago and showed you. And I think that I had just done the beginning of the outlining of the border, the green vine, that I like to do because I like to, base my counting on that, make sure that I have that in the proper count, and that things are lining up there before I start putting the flowers and all in, which is exactly what I did. So I had the green vine, and I probably had a couple of the leaves on that, and maybe a couple of the flowers maybe off on this left side, because I did want to see how the flowers would lay, and then I could judge, from there on if the flowers were falling in the right places. So I got the rest of the flowers in. Then I moved down a line and put in that alphabet. And now I'm working on the next band, which is another floral, bigger flowers than this one. And it's up here. This one here with the couple little doodad, leaves and vines coming off of that, but some really pretty flowers. And then we have a satin stitch alphabet and another floral border before we get into the hairy part of the over one, but it's so worth it. This too is the part that I have done. I stopped at the end of the first page, the bottom of the first page. It's like 4 pages across for the entire sampler, but I intentionally stopped at the bottom of the first page to make sure that, again, everything lined up, and I'm spot on right now. So when I finish down to that bottom and I start to move down, I'll start again, picking up, coming down with the border on both sides to keep me honest here in my counting, because I really hate to frog, but I also hate to work on a sampler that I'm trying to fudge a border or fudge things in. It just isn't pleasant to me. So I will frog rather than, trying to fudge something. So I do the best I can to not have to frog. It's so much more pleasant when you get to a point that you're no matter what you've just stitched, that it's right, that it's in the right spot, and such a nice feeling. And you still remember that you can count past 4. That's a very nice feeling. So that's my current whip for my sampler September, and she's pretty much the only sampler September that I'm working on. The other whip I have, put this down here. The other whip that I have is what I call one of my A whips. And my A whips are my ancient whips. If you've watched my past several videos, you know the story of, while we were moving out of our home of 20 years and, my needlework of 50 plus years that were accumulated in that house, I came across boxes and boxes of whips, things I had started, God knows, I think we're, at least we were in the maybe late 80s, the oldest ones that I came across. I think anything older than that I probably threw out, because I no longer have those type tastes to even bother to keep them. But anyway, I found boxes and boxes of whips in all states of finishing, whether I had, just one line to finish, which is a piece I finished last month or last video. That was a Blackbird design Halloween piece, and all that was left was one tiny little band on the bottom that were like maybe like 5 or 6, 7 little motifs, Halloween motifs, and that was it. The rest of the piece was finished. And by one of my fantastic viewers' suggestions, when I said that, I was pledging that I was going to work on some of these, that I was going to, sit down, catalog all of them, put as much information as I could about each one. If there was any start date, I was not good at keeping any of that until I started watching FlossTube a couple of years ago. So a lot of that information was lost. Some of it I was half smart enough to at least write a start date on, but as far as linen or whatever that it was stitched on, that really wasn't kept record of. So I put as much as I could. I bought a separate journal for those whips and categorized every one of them. Yes, I wrote down as much as I could, numbered them. So I'm just, working from that list right now. And I believe there's probably in the area of 30, maybe 32 total that I decided to keep, and I still loved and I wanted to finish. So those are sitting in a couple of baskets numbered, and when I decide the next one I pull, I know exactly where it is. I was fortunate enough to keep most of them, had the charts with them, the flosses with them. If they were silks, something unusual, or if they were the hand-dyed cottons that were being used, I did keep with most of them, which was at least something smart on my part. Anyway, let me get to the one that I'm working on now. This one I picked because I absolutely love it. It's being done in needlepoint silk, and a large number of needlepoint silk skeins, colors. And it's autumn, and I love it. And it was at least 3/4, I would say, maybe 2/3 done. And the minute I opened it up and remembered this piece, I was like, oh God, why haven't I finished this? This is absolutely lovely. So this is the one I'm working on. If you haven't guessed, it's one of the Hawk Run pieces, Hawk Run Hollow pieces. This happens to be the autumn. And when I came across it, I had completed, down to this part here. I was completely finished. I was working on this block, and this block was about half done from top down. So I had this bottom section to finish, which I have done since I picked it back up again. I put this one in totally. I stitched this one totally. And now I'm working on the ghosty block, and maybe about a third through. A lot of filling on this. So I'm doing outlining on the ghosties, and the tree, all of that I had outlined in while we're watching the Brewers at night, since they're still in first place and we're really enjoying late season baseball. I can just sit and watch the game and, fill and stitch, and I'm not really missing anything, and they replay everything that's good anyway, but that seems to be working out really well for me. So that's what I'm working on, and I'm going to try to show this to you. I'm rolling it to work on it in a hoop. I only stitch on antique hoops. Fortunately, I'm thinking that that's what the little girls did. That's what I can do. And I so much love working on, buy my hoops off of eBay or wherever I can, if I'm lucky enough to find one in an antique store or whatever. One of these days I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, and I'm just going to pop across a queen or duchess, is it? Hoop with the turned wheel on it. I want one of those so badly. But spending a couple of $100 on a hoop, I can't justify it no matter how badly I want one. So I just know that one of these days I'm going to come across one in a retail shop or something that nobody knows what it was. So here's my Hawk Run Hollow. I'm going to kind of try to move this up a little bit. Let me see if I can move this. See what would be easier. Maybe move this in a little bit. I switched devices. I started recording on my tablet, and it timed me out after about 5 minutes. So I think my tablet is a little bit too full, they say, and it won't let you run a video for very long when it doesn't have a lot of storage, because it'll overheat the device, and so the device shuts itself off automatically. So it's been very frustrating that I get in the middle of a floss tube, or even the very beginning, and I'm talking to no one. So, okay, so this is where we're down to. This is the one I have finished the bottom. I finished this whole one, my pumpkin pie. There we're down to the Halloween with the witchy, and she was a lot of filling. She was a lot of fun too. I just kind of outlined her. And here's my ghosties. And my first tombstone is coming in. There are bats up on top in that empty space up there, and a lot more tombstones, and very cool. And then some, the grassy knolls, of course, that are in a cemetery. And I did outline the last 2 blocks also when I was starting these 2, because I was afraid that I was getting really close to the bottom and wanted to make sure that this was going to fit on the piece of linen. And I still have about 2.5 inches, I think, beyond that border. So I think we're all right. But that's my current whip. I also have in that stack of ancient whips, I have the Hawk Run Hollow Christmas. And that one, I don't think that one is as far along as this one was, but there's still a lot, done on that one. And of course, that one also has the MPI silks, and, it's still, they're all there. They're on the ring. They're all, ready to go. So that one's going to be coming up if I get this one finished soon, and I can work on that as a Christmas ancient whip, because I'd like to have one of the ancient ones going at a time, along with, one of my other regular samplers that I want to work on, because there's also so many of those. And if I didn't have enough of them, I keep buying more, just like all of us stitchers do, adding to the stash. You just have to have these things that make you happy. And other than my husband and my little yellow dog now. That's what makes me happy. So, you know, late in life, I could do what I want. So that's my current whip. I also brought something that's a finished item that was down in my old quilt studio, and I finished this. Oh, this has been years ago too. This is when I was really heavily into quilting, and I had a quilt group of friends that we quilted together um, every. I don't remember if it was every 2 weeks. So anyway, we'd get together, rotate houses, be at somebody's houses, bring our machines, bring our hand, if we were doing binding on a quilting or whatever, bring handwork, and we would quilt together. And we were just a great group of friends. And unfortunately, a lot of the group broke up because people have moved out of state. We moved up here. So anyway, getting back to this is a Little House Needleworks, I believe, the Orchard Valley Quilting Bee. And I love the little old-fashioned girls, and this is actually the names that were on the chart. My friends wanted me to put them on there, and there weren't enough ladies to fit, to fill the group, all of the ladies that were in the group. So I said, no, I can't do that. I can't pick favorites, but I will put them in the back. What I plan to do with this piece, and what I had planned to do all along, I'm going to move back so you can kind of see the whole thing together there. This was hanging on my design wall in my quilt studio at the old house. And I would, look at it all the time that I was down there. It was kind of in a spot where I was going to see it. And what I planned on doing, with the reason it was on the design wall down there, was I had planned on finding some quilt blocks, pulling some of my probably reproduction fabrics, 1900 reproduction fabrics that I love, 19th century, I should say. Anyway, some reproduction fabrics, some old, things that I had in my quilt stash, and I want to make blocks to border this and make it into a quilt itself. That this will be the center of the quilt, because it's too big for me to frame and have a spot on the wall for it. The only spot that I would really think of putting it is down here in my quilt studio, and the only person that sees my quilt studio is my husband and I. So it'd be kind, I'd love to have it, framed, but I think it deserves to be quilted, which was the whole plan of me stitching it in the first place. So what I plan on doing is I have an embroidery machine, and when I do my quilting, or something for a friend, I do quilt labels also in the backing fabric. So I put the label itself in the backing fabric, and then give it to the long armor or whatever, or if I do it myself, so that it is a permanent fixture. It's not a label that's going to come off. It's embroidered into the backing fabric, and then it's quilted over the label, so it's a permanent thing. And this is something I'd like to at least leave to probably my sister or my niece, depending on circumstances in the future. Who outlives who, is what it comes down to. My sister and I are always teasing each other about that. She's a couple years older, so of course, but she's in much better health than I am. She's fit. She's a Weight Watcher. She's a grandma of 3 energetic children, and yeah, they keep grandma going. Where me, I'm just a lump. So, needless to say, I would like this to wind up with her. So that's a piece I thought you might enjoy seeing. I know I did when I unburied it after the move. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? I've got all of those things. I think we're down probably to stash. I guess, we have to do haul. I do have this. I haven't noticed a lot of floss tubers do show their book of days, and I'm very proud of my book of days because I am keeping track. I did last year, was my first year, I have to admit. It was something that floss tubers enabled me with, that I thought that was really a great idea. And because I had not been keeping track of what I was stitching it on, all the pertinent stuff that now I'm sorry that I don't have on these old whips. that going forward, I'm going to make sure I keep as much information as I can. Whether it's going to mean anything to anybody after I'm gone doesn't really matter. It means something to me now. So I thought I'd show you my September. We won't bore you with going back, to the old ones. But this is my September, and I tried to fall up my stickers. I have so much fun with the stickers that, I look forward to every new month and, filling in spots. And then once I'm done with the month, I usually will go back and, oh, sorry, wrong way. I keep forgetting this is backwards. I go in and fill in any empty spots that I can still stick more stickers in. And it always includes a pizza because I'm from Chicago, 50 years, born and raised in Chicago. I lived in Chicago for 50 years, so my middle name is Pizza. So there's always a pizza in there. So that's the one thing I like about this one too, especially, is my little section here. I always note my new starts or my finishes, even though I will put it on the day that I completed it or started it or whatever. When I'm looking for something quickly, it's so much easier to see, what I've started and what I've completed during that month with keeping it all here. So that works out real well for me. I do really like that. So that's my book of days. All my important stuff there. So let's get to haul. We do have a nice amount of haul, and for some reason I just decided I deserved all of this, and I'm sticking with it. It's my theory, and I'm sticking with it. I will start off with my fabrics I got, and this is one of the fabric clubs that I'd been in this past year, and they were all the fabrics by Steph. This was our last one, Toasted Almond. It's real pretty. Let's see. It's pretty true to color there. Toasted Almond. Just a real soft modeling, perfect sampler color. And since this was the last month of the club for this year, we also got our bonus piece, and this is called Peppermint Sparkle. And I was looking for a nice Christmas red, and I really hadn't come across anything. I usually look on eBay and, the Stash Unload. I'm always, browsing those places when I'm sitting, relaxing, and I'm not stitching, when my eyes give out, and I'm just browsing on the old tablet. But this came, and I thought, oh my God, this is perfect. In fact, I even emailed back to her to tell her I'm just so pleased with this bonus piece. I've been pleased with the whole club this year, but this one was just icing on the cupcake. It's exactly what I wanted. Then I bought this off of either Stash Unload or, somebody selling on Facebook, just posting things that they were selling on Facebook. And unfortunately, when I got it, there was no label on it. As to, I know at the time it was listed, there wasn't a color listing or name, or who had dyed the fabric, but I don't even remember what count it was. I usually only buy 40, but this is such a beautiful piece of fabric that it could have been 36. I will still purchase some 36s. And those are my two sweet spots, but mainly 40. So I'm not sure what count this is. I'll have to stop and figure it out, which I didn't take the time to do because this just came the other day. But it's like there's lavenders and peaches and this turquoise, and I'm going to try to open it up. It's on Zweigart base, which is just, this side looks to be a little bit deeper in color. Now this is going to be washed out, but oh my goodness, look at this. The colors were just too pretty not to buy it. So I don't care at this point what count it is. I will figure it out just because I'd like to know when I'm going to use it on a piece that, I have enough fabric. So I will figure out the count so that I know that the piece will fit on here. And color name doesn't matter to me anyway, but I just love it. It's just beautiful. I don't know if I can go back on my purchases. I think if it's on, maybe if it had been purchased off of eBay, I might have, maybe it was. Anyway, I might be able to tell that way. This last one that I got was off of Stash Unload, I believe. And this is a sunflower printed fabric, and I am not a big fan of printed fabric. I've used the vintage country mocha because it was called for in a couple of pieces, and it's okay. But being the old timer I am, and being the vintage loving person that I am, where I only will stitch with a hoop that's been used by someone else before, hopefully a young lady, and I'm hoping the older the better, so that maybe it was passed down from a mom to a daughter. That just means a lot to me. It really does. The history of these pieces, history of the tools these girls use, which is why I'm such a sampler lover. Anyway, I digress. This is a 36 count because I had to have it, and she didn't have 40 that I saw listed. And it's a fat quarter, and I'm hoping that you're going to be able to see this. I'll hold it up as one piece first. I think you can kind of get the main idea of this. It's snowflakes on this beautiful light almondy color background, and all different snowflakes. What I am hoping to be able to do with this is to probably just cut the piece in half and use it for two different pieces, because the way the snowflakes fall, there are snowflakes off on this other side. It's very hard. I think you can see a little bit of an imprint there, but they're a lot lighter on that side. This is the main distribution of the snowflakes on both. And if I flipped it over, top down, they're still off on that side. So I'd like to use it for a couple of different pieces where I can actually take and arrange, the stitched piece in that array of snowflakes and have it, the best possible outcome. So I love that piece. I just think that's absolutely beautiful. So that's the fabrics. Then I also got this in the mail. I think this came yesterday or day before. And I have to blame Sarah from Sarah Stitchy Spot for this. I'm not a magazine subscriber, any type of magazine, let alone, needlework. I prefer to pick and choose, to buy my charts. Usually a magazine, if I like something out of it. I have very particular tastes, and there's certain, since a lot of the really sampler magazines no longer exist, the current magazines aren't anything that really is my taste normally. And if I do see something, I'll buy that issue. But to get, a subscription usually doesn't work for me. However, listening to Sarah rave about this magazine, and I do have to admit that normally I would wind up buying, 2, maybe 3 of the issues during the year anyway with this, because they are beautiful. And I thought, this is silly. Just subscribe. Sarah loves this, and Sarah and I like to consider Sarah and I sisters from another mister or something, because we could be sisters in a different life, other than the fact that we look nothing alike. We live in totally different parts of the country, totally different backgrounds. It doesn't matter. We have a lot in common. Our birthdays are a week apart in the same year. We both just lost one of our beloved doggies, and several things. Sarah and I have, texted back and forth a couple of times, and I feel that she is such a dear, dear lady. I watch her floss tubes and rewatch them every time, because I just enjoy her so much. She is just a beautiful soul. So this is for you, Sarah. I now have my Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine subscription, which I will continue, and I will tell you one thing. I've got to stitch this. I've got to stitch this. I haven't done punch needle in a long, long time, and I'm afraid to get back into it, only because that's just what I need, is another hobby. I have stitching bunny bags, and I'm trying to get to the point where I can physically reopen the business and, get back up to my sewing speeds after this move. It's just taken so much out of me that I have not been able to devote, the time. I didn't have the space, first of all, that the stitching room, the quilt room here has just been finished. So it had taken me so long to work on this room and get it situated and set up where I'd be comfortable working in here, that I think that now, I'm to the point where I can, pick up stitching bunny bags. I miss making my project rolls. I miss having the ladies enjoy them, telling me that they enjoy them so much. So I do want to get back to that. I love it, and I think I'm ready. But anyway, that's all I need is now to, pick a punch needle and find something else I need to spend my time on. I've been retired for over 20 years, and I still don't know how I ever found time for a full-time job. And Sarah's a retired physician. So I really can't say, I had an office job. I really can't complain, but I still never have enough hours in the day. I really don't. And at my age, I need a nap in the middle of the day, which kind of cuts into my stitching time. So anyway, this is my present to me purchase. I'm now a subscriber, and I love it. Love it. Okay, let's get to the regular haul. I am a lover of Colorado cross stitch. I'm trying to find the rest of the stash I got from her. Here we go. This is a big order. This was kind of like a pre-order, from the expo that the business people just had. It wasn't for the public, but all the new charts that came out for the fall. Let me put it that way. And I had pre-ordered with Colorado cross stitch because I really like her, and I love her floss tubes. She's just a sweetie, and I love now that she's doing also her own charts. She's designing, and I thoroughly enjoy her. She's another one that I could just watch her floss tubes and then I rewatch them, because the first time I run through, I'm writing down the charts that I run. And the second time I go through, I listen to her, because she really is an experienced stitcher and has some tremendous ideas, just a fountain of knowledge. So, she's another one of my go-to, very favorite floss tubers. So thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Colorado Cross Stitch, for being there, for being such a great store. And we will, continue to, unfortunately, add to my haul through you. So these are the things I had pre-ordered. This is the new Erica Michaels. I want to do berries, and that's one thing I haven't done yet. And being a stitcher, quilter, I don't think I'm going to have any trouble finishing them. I just think they're adorable, and I have my coffee table that's up in my stitching room that I have showed pictures of. That's a display case. It's a square coffee table with a glass top, and the underneath is a black velvet covered drawer, and I have all of my little stitching smalls and goodies in there, the things that I've accumulated over the years that I've stitched, and so they're all on display in there, and that's up in my stitching room. But I don't have any berries, so these were just perfect for me. Rather than them being seasonal, I decided to go with the sampler type and stitch these up first as my first berries, and be able to complete these and have them in there as year-round things. There are a couple of seasonal things in the table. I have some Halloween things and all in there, and they stay in there all the time. But I think that this would be really, really great to add to that. Oh, and that did come pretty flossy colors in there too. Just a couple of colors, very subtle. I love it. Just love it. Love the colors. Then we have a Brenda Gervais. That's a new one, When Pumpkins Glow. And it says, there's magic in the night when pumpkins glow with candlelight. And I love the shape of this one. And since I'm getting into this, finishing thing, I'm going to be a, prolific finisher and, get into this professional finishing thing because I'm going to be so good at it. I just can think of so many ways to display this, and I love it. Very, very cute. Of course, I had to have this one. My new house has a coffee bar. And other than pizza being my middle name, my second middle name is coffee. And this is Coffee and Pumpkin Pie by the October House. That's the new one. Cute, cute, cute. Love it. I love pumpkin pie. I was so thrilled when Starbucks came out with their pumpkin spice the end of August. Oh, the sooner the better for me. And then I got, this is my first Tiny Town, and I wanted this because of the colors, but I'm also waiting for the Autumn Tiny Town that I've already ordered all the floss and all for. And that's going to be my first drum, I believe. Probably the Autumn one will be my first one. This will be more, maybe stitching during the winter when I need a small in my hands. But yeah, I think those are perfectly sized for a drum. And that's something else I'm dying to stitch. I have so many spots to set those around up in my stitching room. New Stacy Nash Big Chicken Little Chicken Pin Keep. And I love how this is made into a cushion. I love her chickens. I've done several of her, I shouldn't say several, I've done 2 of her other chickie pieces. But I just love that. That's great. And then this, I love this. This is by Running with Needles and Scissors, and I believe that this is going to be a series. This is the first of the series. And it's a tombstone. Love Halloween. And it says, "May thy needle rest in peace." It's the first, it's number 1, and the person's name was Evelyn Eilert. Evelyn Eilert. Oh, my kind of humor. And that's Evelyn, and it's this maker of samplers. And then her name, Evelyn Eilert, and she's got an eyelet stitch in between. It says, "Her life was told with linen and thread. They speak still, though she be dead." And she died June 5th, 1812. Poor Evelyn. But her work lives on. Isn't that great? I do have a couple of small little tombstone pillowy things that I've made that always decorated my mantle in my old house. Since I don't have a fireplace in this one, we're going to have to find a new spot. But I do enjoy Halloween and the tombstones. I think that's so cool. This is also a must-have. This is Stitchy Bird number 2 by Teresa Kogut, and it's a sewing tomato this time. I did do Stitchy Bird number 1. He's in my pile here of waiting to be finished. And this is the sewing tomato, which is also something I love. And that's Stitchy Bird too. Had to have him. These colors are so great in these pieces. These are all, looks like combination of Classic Color Works, DMCs, and Weeks Dye Works, which is usually what Teresa does, and that's a super combo. I'm going to save this one till last because this is one of Sherry's own. Then I had to get this one, Tiny Modernist Autumn Tradition Sampler. Being a Wisconsin girl now I was born and raised in Chicago. So we did have, obviously the fall colors, but I lived in Chicago itself for many years. That's where I was born and raised. And then when I got married the first time to my late husband, we moved to the Chicago suburbs. So we really didn't have like the, pumpkin patches or things or the cornfields like we do here in Wisconsin. But boy, we sure had them here in the house that we left, that we lived in for 20 years. And it was just west of Madison, Wisconsin, little farm community. And it's exactly what it was. Right across the street from my house, there was another, that side of the street had a row of houses, but then behind those houses was a big cornfield. And we just loved seeing that. And then off a little farther past the cornfield and across one of the county highways, there was a beautiful hilly area, and there were usually cows grazing up there. And it was ideal. There was a reason we loved being in that house. But isn't that gorgeous? Look at the colors in this. The moon is great. Then we've got the kitty now. I'm going to have to put my little yellow dog in here somewhere. She'll be walking down that path or something. She will make her presence known. But there's the cornfield, and we got the pumpkins and the beautiful little houses. Colors are magnificent. Does it say this was dyed on twilight, or this was done on twilight mist on 28 count? So I'll have to find something comparable. It's only 120 stitches by 180, so it's not bad, but it is a lot of fill-in, so a little bit time consuming, but nothing too dramatic. And then there was this one I had to get. I have a couple of these others, and I should show you those two with this one. Just hold, please. Even though I bought these other ones out there at the secondary market. This one I got from Sherry's store, Skating Santa Stocking. And that's a new release. And that's Carriage House. I wasn't sure if it was Kathy Barrick or Carriage House, but this is a Carriage House. Great Santa. I love him. I love how he's a skinny Santa. And all the little winter and Christmas motifs. Look at the little village down on the toe. Isn't that great? The little train tracks. Okay, so that's one of my stockings. That's from Sherry's shop. And then the other two that I bought off the secondary market, this is a Kathy Barrick. And my embroiderer stocking. I have dreams of stitching every one of these and displaying them around my stitching room. I just think they're wonderful. So that's her. And this is done in needlepoint silk also, but there's only like maybe a dozen, maybe a few more than that, colors on this one. So that's not bad at all. And considering I have two Hakron Hollows that are massive colors, I should have the majority, I'm hoping, of these MPIs. So I can do those in silk. And then this one is by Carriage House too. This is a sampler stocking. Look at this. Take the glare off of it. Traditional sampler, just everything on there you want. Just lovely. So they're on my to-do list. And then this one I saved for last because I think this is so cool. This is Sherry's own design. And it's called Sisterhood of the Needle. And all of these patterns are in there. This one reminds me of my floss tube piece I finished stitching. It's not fully finished, but it will be. That's in my pile too. And then there's this long one. It's a Sisterhood of the Needle. And then we also have a male stitcher in here with the female, or we have the two female stitchers. And then, of course, another berry, which, could very easily go also in my table. Love it. Just love it, Sherry. Love it. Thank you so much for creating that. These, I think, now are all off secondary market. Let me start with these little guys here because they're sliding all over. This is Autumn Gatherings by Brenda Gervais. This is from 2020, so not, a couple years ago. But I love this. I believe I have the winter one. I didn't have the autumn one in this. It's perfect. And not even too bad. It doesn't look like it'd be too time consuming of a stitch. A little house, but it looks like it would move along pretty quickly. So I would love to finish this way too. Make it a stand up. So got that one. I'll have to pull out winter too, so I'm really, ready. I'll have a lot of encouragement there. See it sitting there stitching, waiting for me to stitch. These are all, I think, from 2019. So these are older, but I didn't have these for some reason. I missed this whole Halloween season in 2019, I think, because I don't have any of these. That's not like me. I usually buy all of Brenda's. But this is Gone Batty, the Black Kitty. Might have to leave my dog out of that one. I don't think she'd want to be in there with all those kitties. This is Santa's Tree Farm. That's when it's done, finished in the hoop, and I think that's so cute. So cute. Be a real cute ornament for my big tree. Then we have the Hooplas. This is Holiday Hoopla Halloween. Missed this one altogether. I do have this green fabric too, just like Going Batty, with the kitties. That's Kermit. So that, again, it's just calling to be done. And, it looks like a pretty easy stitch too. Pretty quick. Her dress, take a little time, but I said that's my busy TV time. So I get a lot done during that. And then the last one, how did I miss this one? That's a Hoopla Thanksgiving. Look at his butt. Give thanks. And I still make an entire Thanksgiving dinner every year for Rob and I and whatever doggies we have at the time. Since we don't have any family here in state or aren't close to any family at all here at all. It's just us. But I love making Thanksgiving dinner. I love how it smells. I love having the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade on while I'm cooking. And it's a tradition. I've done it every year since the first year I was married to my late husband. So, over 30 years. And I haven't given it up, even though I'm only cooking for 2.5 maybe with my doggie, although they get as much as we do usually. These are off the secondary market. I missed these two. This is a Lottie Don. I love Lori's charts. Rob and I are coming up to our 29th anniversary this November, and then, obviously the year after 30. But we didn't actually have a wedding sampler or anything that I've stitched for any of our anniversaries. So I saw this and I thought, this is just perfect. It screams me. It's called Wed to Thee, a family tree. And even though we don't have children, first of all, I love the man and woman. I think they're just precious. But the way the tree is done with, should be family members, probably children, maybe parents, initials, that type thing. I think what I'd like to do, that since it would just be for Rob and I for our wedding anniversary, I think it would behoove me to put all of our doggies' initials on that we've had since we got married. And they would all fit on there. I just need one more little branch for my little Rosie. And that would cover all of our doggies that the two of us have shared. And I think that would be perfect. Cute, cute, cute. Thank you, Lori. Love it. These I bought. These are PDF downloads. So I just bought these online. Trying to see if any more. Oh, this is a freebie one. I'm just trying to get organized here so I can kind of give you some kind of order of, information if you're interested in these. This is Maximum Cross Stitch. And let's see if she has her. I'm sure you can just Google Maximum Cross Stitch. I don't remember if this was an Etsy shop or how these were listed. But anyway, this is called Dog and Their Human. And I might like to actually do this twice and kind of change up the colors a little bit. But one I'd like to do with just my little Maddie that I just lost. Because I used to walk her when we got little Rosie. She was such a handful. She was a little street dog, so she was not accustomed to being on a leash. She was loose, had a litter of puppies, and so when she came into home environment, it was a total different thing for us. I think she was probably 2.5, I believe, when we got her. Because it was in the winter, and then that summer she turned 3, and now this past summer she turned 4. So she still is kind of a little handful. Rob's taken her to, doggy obedience and all, and she's getting so much better. But because Rob couldn't walk the two of them together, I wound up walking Maddie, and we spent a lot of quality walks together. So I think I'd like to do one with Maddie, and then just do one now for our Rosie. That would just be hers. I think Rosie might be our last pup for a while. I doubt that we're going to do the two dogs again. It's just too much for my husband to have to walk them. We don't have a fenced yard here at the new house. So she has to be walked. And there's, beautiful trails and all that here. We're kind of out we are in a neighborhood, that's a lot of homes here, but it's surrounded by Madison and one of the suburban areas, Verona, that are still very filled with open land and trails and, parks kept up by the city of Madison that are just gorgeous. And so there's a lot of walking areas for them, but it does mean that in the middle of the winter, my husband's going to be out there walking the doggies. And Rob's had health issues, so it's not going to be easy. And I said, this move has taken so much out of the both of us. We're still haven't, recouped from the massive job that it turned out to be. So it's a lot. And, we get older each day. So I don't know. We'll see. But as it stands right now, it's just going to be a little Rosie, and she's quite enough for us. She's only 4 years old, so she's got a long life ahead of her, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, I have another one by Maximum Cross Stitch now that I'm getting back to what we were here for. And I don't know if this is Edie and Patsy or Eddie and Patsy. I want it to be Eddie and Patsy because I want it to be a boy and a girl. Look at those birds. Aren't they love? Us cross stitchers love birds. I have determined that, at least 90% of us are bird lovers, and we love to stitch birds. I don't know what it is that, if it's just, the beautiful colors and all that they're always in, the samplers, whatever. I guess it has a lot to do with at least our sampler stitchers. Really do love this type of thing. So that's our little birdies. And this is by Homespun Prims by Lori. And this is Come Hear the Bells on Christmas. So this is going to be for my Christmas sampler wall. And it truly is a Christmas sampler. It says, Come hear the bells this Christmas day. The Savior rests upon the hay. Come hear the bells this Christmas day. And live in his peace, I pray. And then on the very bottom it said, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. From my Alleluia chorus, being an old choral singer. One of my favorites. So that's that one. That was a PDF. Then these I got off of either Stash Unload or somewhere. These are off the secondary market. So none of these are anything new, but just things I came across that I haven't seen before and really like. This one's from 1994 by Mary Gary. And it's Mary Gary's Sewing Cabin. It's called Remember Me, and I really love samplers that say Remember Me, because I'm going to force these on my family, that are left behind me, whether they want them or not. They're going to remember me, because there's going to be so many of these around. They're going to not have a choice, but I really love the colors on this one. Very, very attractive. This one I bought, it's from last year, from September Soiree 2022. That was the other part of Sampler September. And now, I don't know if I have it backwards or what, but I was saying that Sampler September was strictly for reproduction samplers, and then Sampler Soiree was for any other samplers. And I would think that is exactly the way it is, because this is Sampler Soiree, and it's a current modern sampler. Anyway, it's real cute. It's from Sassy Jack Stitchery, and it came with the linen and the floss with it. So that just looks like it'd be a lot of fun to stitch, and a quick one. And I'll probably just change it to 2023 if I get it done this year, but I think that's adorable. So that's that. I think that's the way it goes. It's Sampler September is for reproduction samplers, and this Sampler Soiree. This is another, this is a freebie. And I believe this is from Lori Belchin from Not Forgotten Farm. And it's just simply Sampler Maker. And I think this would be so great to make this into a flat fold, or, just a flat piece mounted on, some type of tray or something, or just a wooden decoration. This is all, just one color. And, you could do anything with it, but I think it was stitched by Lori in one color. And it was just really, really, really attractive. And I thought, that's perfect for my sewing room. I'll find a spot to stitch that and display that in my stitching room. So that, I believe, is on her blog. You can find that. And then I have this one. That's one I missed, too, for some reason. I love Stacy Nash, and me being into the, getting into stitching drums. This one was a country sampler exclusive, which is why I didn't get it when it was originally, when it originally came out, because it was for one of Jeannie's clubs, and I wasn't in the club at the time. So, but it is the winter, oh God, It's a Wonderful Life pin keep. And I love it. I love it. I live down the road from Country Sampler, and I just love going to Jeannie's shop. I worked for her for a while, and you know, it's always a pleasure to see her and to see the ladies in the shop and just, you know, stroll around. Just a fantastic store. If you ever have the opportunity to stop in there, do so. You won't be sorry. But so this is one I really fell in love with, and it's a large drum. That pedestal that it's on, it's like almost a big candle holder, you know, for one of those big chunky round candles. And I have seen a couple of things like that I could display it on. So I love that. So glad to have found that on the secondary market. And this one too, this is consider, you know, by all the Blackbird. Somehow I missed this one, and it's Halloween, and that just floors me that I didn't have this one. But this is Cats on Parade. And you see a drum theme coming here, don't you? You can tell that I'm going to go a little crazy with drums. So pick that up and just love it. Just love it. Although, again, my little yellow dog's not going to be happy about black cats. And then I just have one more thing I got. And I have to say that for someone who has her own business and makes project bags, my big thing is my project rolls. I truly enjoy making those, and I hope they're a little bit unique. And there's so many ladies that make project bags. When I do make project bags, I usually match them or make them to match the project rolls, so that, you know, ladies like to be matchy and for retreats and all. I'm sorry, I have this piece of hair that's making me crazy today. So anyway, I don't do a lot of project bags, and mine are, you know, totally different, or at least I try to be a little bit different than some. You know, you hate to compete with all the other ladies. You know, they're doing the same thing that, you know, makes them happy. You know, I obviously love all these other ladies' bags because I purchase from all of them. Is what my point I was going to make, is that I don't care if I make bags or not. I love these ladies' bags, and I, you know, purchase them whenever I see what I like. I get it. This is made by Cross My Stitches, and it's a great, you know, the plastic front, which I love. Love the plaid, but the reason I had to have this one, turkeys. We have wild turkeys all over our area here. Well, not the new area. I take that back, because there's so many homes here. But our little town across Plains, the home we moved from, we had wild turkeys all over, and you saw that, you know, in the cornfields all the time. Just so neat to see. I always have to talk to them, so I'm a big turkey fan. So that was my purchase for this week. I can't say that it was my only bag purchase, but that's the one I have for right now. So I think if I look at my little list here, I think we've kind of covered everything. Believe it or not, this seems like it was actually a shorter floss tube for me. That's because I did one 2 weeks ago and I didn't have all that catching up to do. But just to recap, I would love any helpful comments, any critical comments. I could take that too. Just don't be too unruly. I do cry easily. But anything that you can see that can be improved with the lighting or, you know, the location, whatever I can do. I've switched back to recording on my phone. I'm hoping that's a little clearer. It's a better quality camera than what's on my tablet. My tablet is many years old. So that camera on that one isn't, I don't think, quite up to the standard that my phone is. So we'll switch back to the phone to record. I think that's better. I think we might have to do something about lighting. So if you have any suggestions, if any, the itchy nose, floss tube itchy nose is a real thing. if you have any, if you've used the ring light or if you use something different and it works real well for your videos, if you could just drop me a quick comment, I'd appreciate it. Any suggestions on the little squirrel table, any suggestions, period. Anything you just want to say to me. I love corresponding with you ladies. I'm behind in my answers to a lot of the comments, but again, it's only because there just isn't enough hours in the day, but I do read every one of them, and usually my husband does too, and if it's something that maybe I've missed or, whatever, he definitely will point it out to me, so it's kind of a group effort that way, but I do so much love hearing from you guys, and I love that you're here with me, that you take the time out of your busy schedules, whether it's stitching, working, family, whatever, that you take time to spend an hour or so with me every couple of weeks to catch up. And I really do feel like I can talk to you ladies, so, and gentlemen, I'm sorry. I don't mean to leave you gentlemen out. All of us floss tubers, regardless. I love every one of you. Please enjoy the rest of your September, especially those of us participating in Sampler September, because this only leads into unfinished samplers in October for me. But it is something I look forward to every year. It makes samplers all the more special. Enjoy your fall stitching. I hope you're in an area that you're going to see some fall. My family, the main part of my family is in South Florida. So for them, fall is, they put away their flip-flops for a week or two. That's about it. They really don't participate in the fall like we do here in the Midwest. But they were at least, my sister, her daughter was born and raised in Florida, but my sister is from the Midwest, and she's been down there a long time though, so it's kind of worn out of her. She does the you all thing now. She's from Chicago, but I guess she's been gone long enough. She's been Southern long enough that she's entitled to do that now. But she does admit that she misses the fall, not the winters, but she does miss the fall, and I keep trying to get her to come up here, but it's like pulling teeth. So anyway, I'm off my track again. Until the next time, I will try my best to keep my promise of my 2 weeks. I hope to hear from you. Another thing that you can comment on is some floss tubers that you enjoy. I'm trying to catch a lot of the new ones, but it's so difficult. If you could just say, show me all the new floss tubers, so that I could, but it doesn't work that way. You kind of have to either come across them by chance, or, watching another floss tuber mention the new people they've watched that they enjoy. So, if there's somebody you particularly love watching, or if there's somebody new that you think is worth a check out, I think every floss tube is worth checking out. It might not be something to your particular liking, but, you learn something. Sometimes it's better that you're not watching somebody who strictly stitches what you stitch. Broaden your horizons. I've been stitching for over 50 years, and it amazes me that I still find so many things that I want to stitch, and they're not all samplers. I admit I'm majority samplers, that's my love, but that's because I'm an antique. So, I think samplers just automatically fit into my age range, but there's still other things, new things all the time, new, even little hints, something the way somebody's finished something. It could be a piece that's all metallics and beads, and that's not you, but if it's something that, you can pick up and learn from them and apply it to something you love and the way you do things, it's worth it, and everybody's art is their own, and it's all beautiful. It's all beautiful. So in the meantime, before we meet again, enjoy the fall, enjoy the rest of September, and stitch every day. I love you all. Take care and be healthy. Love you. Bye-bye.